Snail Mail Superstar here. I've known you for a little while now, and I think it's time to talk about my ex. In 2009, July 2009, I started dating Etsy. I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable, but also I'm being ridiculous. So I joined Etsy in July of 2009. I had shopped Etsy before that, but that's when I joined as a seller, and I started listing greeting cards and notebooks that I was GoCo printing and putting together in my second bedroom right after we moved to Seattle. So that was right after college, and it was my first way to sell products to customers. So in a lot of ways, Etsy is how I started my business and how Constellation came to be. It was the first practical thing that I did to start a business. So let's see, 2009, that's been 9 years ago, hard to believe. And 2018 is the year that Etsy and I broke up. And I just wanted to make this video to talk about that because I have a lot of thoughts and feelings that I feel like I need to get out of my system. And I think this is a special moment, especially with some things that recently happened, to talk about Etsy as a platform and as a community. It's not all that different than the conversations that are happening around YouTube right now. So I think it's a conversation worth having. So like I said, I joined Etsy in 2009. I had 2 or 3 card designs and a few one-off things that I was listing, but they started to sell. And the feeling of somebody wanting to buy something that I made was really special. And I remember literally going to the post office each time to buy one rigid mailer to mail the thing because it was such a big event. I stopped everything to go and fulfill that order. So as time went on, my business grew, and I went from GoCo printing in my second bedroom to letterpress printing. I started really doing product development and growing my collection of cards. And I tried a lot of things over the years. I even had a second Etsy store for a while selling vintage things. That was really fun. Basically, Etsy and I grew together in this beautiful friendship, this community. And as my business grew and grew and grew and grew, I will continue to show this little graphic of the little camel hump that you're gonna see. And I'm showing you my actual numbers because I think it's important. I think this transparency in this conversation is important. And I could tell you all day what happened between me and Etsy, but I think showing you this one image, which I will continue to put up on the screen in an obnoxious manner, I'm sure, showing you that image is going to describe what happened far better than I could tell you with words. So basically, Etsy and I grew and grew and grew and grew together, and then algorithmed. This conversation and this word algorithm is so common now with Instagram and YouTube and Etsy and so many other platforms, and that's why I'm talking about it. But at that point, the algorithm change was the first time that I had experienced this phenomenon. So Etsy and I had been growing, and I had been paying Etsy for ads, which at that point in time, just basically, I couldn't even tell you exactly what it did, but I could see that when I paid 10 cents a day for ads, I could see that the revenue came in a little bit better. So it made sense to me to pay for those things. And so I did, because I'm a business and I was selling products. And when you're selling a $5 greeting card at a time, and you have employees that you want to pay, and I had physical rent from my printing presses, a place to put them that I needed to pay. So I needed to make money doing this. This was my full-time job. And for me, I never did the like quit your job to be an Etsy seller thing. I never got a job out of college because of the recession. So I was trying to make a living right off the bat with Etsy from day one. And then right around 2013, 2014, it's right in the center of my time on Etsy, the exact center. So I'm gonna say it's probably right about 2014. Everything changed. It was like overnight. I remember there being one month where I think we got to the peak where I made $1,000 one month on Etsy. And I was not a huge Etsy seller. I never got really famous. I never got really popular. I didn't get featured on the homepage of Etsy. I didn't see the like spike of massive amounts of money, but that $1,000 a month was a big part of my business at that point. I would say the biggest part. And from one month to the next, the algorithm changed. I consistently lost money on every ad that I paid for, and the sales just went away. And no matter what I did, no matter how many freaking times I changed the title or the description or the tags or the photos, like no matter how many times I made changes, nothing worked. And it just tanked for me, completely tanked. And if you'll look at the camel, the little camel hump, never came back. Not even a little bit. Not even for 1 month. And at that point, I had to do or die. I had to figure something else out. And that was the first time in my business I said, I'm not going to trust that someone else's business is going to control the future of my business. And I call this like the eggs in the basket thing. I'm not going to put all of my eggs in someone else's basket because they're going to pick up the basket and slap it with an algorithm and it's going to walk away. Buy basket. I think a lot of people right now are dealing with the same thing when it comes to Instagram and YouTube, and I'm sure other places that I'm not as connected to. The basket might fail you. And so if you are running a business and you're running a business online, it's really important to have diversified as much as you possibly can. 2014 is also when Etsy Wholesale was happening. That's when I joined Etsy Wholesale. And so that's what honestly kept me on Etsy through this because wholesale for me was the future of my business. That was the year I did the National Stationery Show for the first time. And honestly, I stuck around for Etsy Wholesale because even though my Etsy retail completely tanked, I was getting orders through Etsy Wholesale, and I was finding a lot of new stores that I had never reached out to that were finding me. And so the service that it offered made sense to keep me around. After a long time of thinking, I actually deactivated my Etsy seller account for both retail and wholesale in January of 2018. So this last few months, I haven't really said anything. I didn't announce it. I just kind of slipped away because I didn't want to be drama, and there's no good way to do that. But basically, I broke up with Etsy in January. And the reason I did that was because I was really, really tired of having to update both an Etsy shop, an Etsy wholesale shop, my online retail shop, and my online wholesale shop, and my freaking brick and mortar shop, and my wholesale catalog, and my print and PDF catalog. When I put out new products, it would take me weeks to update everything. And Etsy was always the back burner because since 2014, it made me no money. And so the 1 or 2 orders a week I would get, of course I would fill them. Those customers I super appreciate. But it just didn't make sense for me to keep putting all of this time and effort into a platform that no longer worked for me. Now, I want to insert here that I appreciate Etsy. I mean, I keep showing you the graphic. Thank you for 50 grand over 8 years. Thank you. Thank you for being a platform that at one point did allow me to help start my business and did allow a lot of people to launch creative businesses. In the beginning, and for those first 4 years or so, I felt a lot of support. I felt a lot of community. I felt like Etsy was a place I went to shop. I would say the last 4 years, I don't browse Etsy. I don't shop Etsy because when I go in there to search, I don't find things that I like. Because what the promise was from Etsy when I joined was small businesses making handmade items that were high quality and there was going to be a good customer service there. And I think over the last 4 years, I don't see that anymore. And so for me, it was kind of easy in January to say, I'm done. Not because anything really terrible happened to me, but just because it didn't serve me and it was taking my time and energy away from something else that I would rather be doing that actually served me and helped my business and something that I enjoyed. So that's why I broke up with Etsy. In May of 2018, Etsy Wholesale announced that they were discontinuing their service completely and were giving everybody 1 month. Now, again, eggs basket, I had removed my eggs from their basket. I had moved the eggs around. I'd been doing that for a while. And in January, I completely removed my eggs and said, you do your basket, I'll do my basket. And so wholesale for me happens through my own website that I have on Squarespace, and not sponsored, obviously. No one's giving me money for any of these videos. And I've been in business now for, we're gonna round to 9 years. So we'll call it 9 years. So people know me, and I have a decent following on Instagram, and I have built relationships over the last 9 years with a lot of other small business people and a lot of shops. So I didn't really feel that afraid to let Etsy go, because I knew if people really wanted to buy from me, they were going to come and find me. I also reached out to people. I sent them my paper catalog, and then when Etsy Wholesale announced that they were kaput, I sent an email to everyone who had ordered from us on Etsy Wholesale in the past to give them an updated ordering information. I guess the reason I finally want to make this video, even though it's been 6 months since I broke up with Etsy, is because I saw this coming, and it's not affecting me, but it's affecting a lot of other people. There were a lot of small businesses and makers that were using Etsy Wholesale as the way to do wholesale. It was the way that they launched wholesale. It was the only way that they were getting orders. And giving them 1 month, and honestly, the support has not been there for a long time. I get it. Tech world, I get it. You probably didn't have employees to throw at the problem. And wholesale is a very different beast. It was not perfect, and there were a lot of features we were waiting for the last 4 years that never showed up. So do with that what you will. But basically, I'm making this video because I think it's a bummer. I think it's a bummer because I think a lot of startups and a lot of tech companies bounce into an industry and want to disrupt it, but then don't actually understand it and don't actually want to support the community of people that make it successful. And I think that's what happened here. And I also think it's what's happening. I think it's what's happening with places like Indigo Fair and other tech companies that are coming into this exact industry. And personally, I'm not joining Indigo Fair. I'm not doing it. I was a seller on Etsy Wholesale, but what I didn't mention earlier is I was also a buyer. I have a brick and mortar stationery and gift store, and I spent a lot of money on Etsy Wholesale to fill my shop. When I opened my shop, I exclusively ordered from Etsy Wholesale because it was easy. And I think that's at the end of the day where Etsy wins in a lot of ways, is by making it really easy. But now they're going away. And the reason I'm not joining Indigo Fair, I'm not going to go into that because I don't need to do that. I don't need to spill that tea right now. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about a lot of things. But basically because, again, eggs, basket, welcome to the wholesale industry. I hope that you are committed. I hope that you're here for the long haul. I'm going to keep tilling my garden and watering my plants and pouring on that fertilizer and growing what I have here, instead of putting all my time and energy and fertilizer and water into something else that's eventually probably going to go away because it's hard. Because what nobody tells you, maybe they do more than they used to, but nobody tells you is that even if you can quit your full-time job and be a maker and sell things for a living, it is a hustle that never ends. And owning a retail shop is a hustle that never ends. And this industry is made up of people who work very hard on very small margins to support their families and to live a life that is fulfilled. And I am eternally grateful for everyone along the way, including Etsy, who has been a part of allowing me to have my beautiful, fulfilled life of making things. I am so grateful. But at the end of the day, when you're dating someone and it's not really working out and you put in a lot of time and energy and work, and then the camel hump comes down the other way, it's time to break up. So I broke up with Etsy. I'm not saying that you should. If it's working for you, if you love it, if you're enjoying it, if it is what you can handle at this part of your business, if having your own website isn't going to work for you, if you want that kind of community around you, I would say go for it. But be aware that the algorithm is coming for you, no matter what platform you're on. At some point, you're gonna get algorithmed. So be thinking about ways that you can organically build your business and your direct human connection with people. And I'm not talking like make sure your email list is, that's business jargon that people will tell you, and that's, you know, yeah, you should probably have an email list. But what I'm telling you is make relationships with people that are real and make them on your own terms, because at the end of the day, that's all you can do. Because things are going to change around you, and you either get okay with it or you get algorithmed. So that's pretty much it. I hope that was helpful. It feels cathartic for me. Tell me what you think in the comments, I suppose. Is that a thing I should ask for? Maybe don't. Don't be mean to me. I mean, you guess you can. Whatever. You do you.